there's a word in Spanish is porfiados, which means being stubborn. Okay. And we kind of have like a funny, like ongoing joke between Elik and I. We call ourselves los porfiados. Okay, the stubborns, because basically, I feel like not a lot of people do this. You need to take risks.
Yeah.
When you do a new venture, a new career, or just an idea. Okay, not everything works out right away. So, I mean, honestly, I gotta say, I mean, there were some times you wake up and you come to a studio and you work, and it's like, oh man, this is hard. It's not working out, or you're putting money in, and it's kind of like investment on money and time. And you trust on this, you trust on what you're doing, and you see it through. And we don't quit.
How is it going? I haven't seen you either one of you in a while.
It's going okay.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
I know Juan's trying to become Jesus Christ with that hair he's got on him.
That's my COVID look. I refuse to cut my hair until this thing is done.
There you go.
The Jesus look is in. It's spirituality is being compromised, and it's time to just let it go and just be yourself, dude.
Be yourself.
The dude.
The dude.
The dude look.
The dude.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
All we need to do is put a vest on you and get a medallion and some yellow sunglasses, and you are 1970s all over again, buddy.
That's all right. That's all you need.
But anyway, so how are things going for you guys? Things pick back up as far as like production goes, or are you guys kind of just writing tracks?
No, I mean, of course, this affected all of us, a little bit. I mean, luckily, we had some projects going on before all this started, so we had to finish them, and, things that were filmed already, it's post-production, so they weren't filming anything like that. So, we got to keep working on some music. Of course, a few of our big shows got postponed, luckily, not canceled, postponed, which is great. Sure. So next year we should be back to work on a few of those. But, we have been keeping busy. One of our, it's funny, like, we do a lot of different kind of programming, feature film, documentary, and TV shows. But we also, one of our clients is NBC Universal Telemundo. And yes, we're Latino, but, most of our shows are not Latin shows. But, yeah, I know. But, with Telemundo, they were doing a series. It's called 100 Días para Enamorarnos, 100 Days to Fall in Love, whatever. And I did pretty well, but those were probably, I was reading an article, like the last people filming when the whole thing started. So they had to cut episodes. And so you start seeing like, they were talking, okay, now we have the party. So the party actually didn't happen. So they say, okay, that was great. And then they start talking about the party. So you could actually feel, how COVID affected filming, but what is amazing, like they actually went through. I mean, they actually made it happen. So I think it's pretty remarkable that they went ahead and kept working on this, with, of course, all the protocols and things like that until they, boom, stop it. When they stop it, that's it, nothing else. So you can see it in the series how they are, like cutting here and there. But
sure.
They did great. Yeah.
Making it work.
Yeah,
exactly. So, let's touch on that fact for both of you guys. You both work on not only documentary, but also scripted or unscripted TV shows, which, is usually a 50-50 split for most networks right now. For you guys, is it, how are you really, what's kind of your guys' approach or process of like how you approached all of that situation with, making a TV show happen? Is it you watch the show, or you do the, producers give you a vibe or directors give you a vibe and say, hey, we're going with this right now, or we're going with that, and we want you to kind of graft around it? Or is it kind of a lot of back and forth also of like how you guys actually write for a show?
I think it's a mix of both. If we're talking about unscripted, we have if it's a new show that we haven't seen before, then we have kind of like a creative meeting, and what is the show about? They normally they have like a little pilot, a little sizzle, and then once we get the vibe of the show, or like the music vibe of the show, then normally we either follow what they want, or we develop a new sound for them, which is what we like the most. We develop the kind of like the style or the sound for the specific show, and then we start from there, and then we create a collection for them, so they can use it as part of our music.
Yeah, one thing is like, as Juan said also, I mean, there is no rule to it. I mean, everybody has different type of requirements. I mean, when sometimes we do, of course, I mean, depending on the show, in regards to the specific scoring. So there is no pre-created music. I mean, everything is scored to picture. Sometimes there is a hybrid, sometimes, which we like to do that as well, because sometimes there is no time or budget enough to score, a show, from beginning to end. So sometimes it's like, you do the main title, score to picture, and maybe a few important scenes, and the rest of the stuff is a music collection. You let the editors actually play the music. And this happens, even in huge shows. I mean, and that, they just can't afford to go ahead and score the whole thing, which, of course, is ideal. And that's the old way to do things and the ideal situation, in my opinion. But you need to adapt to reality. You need to adapt to what's going on out there. And I think that we have that capability of adapting pretty easy that we can offer, if we can do scoring, we can do it. If not, we have a big team of composers and people who collaborate with us that can help us to produce high quality music in large volumes and super quick,
Something to add is not only that maybe it's not affordable by the production, but it's also time. Sometimes they're fighting against deadlines, and there's no time for us to see the final cut before it's sent, because they need music while they're cutting, and then as soon as they cut, they send to the network. So there's no time to see like a log picture or see something definite, because it's so fast. So it's not a luxury that we have in some shows.
Yeah. So I worked on some television series back in the 90s, like For Music and Composer were all under the same roof, obviously. And it was a lot of time, like overnight, like we would get it at 5:00 and have to have it back at 5 or 6 in the morning. Do you guys run into that now, or is the timelines a little bit more broad?
It's different.
It's different.
It's like depends from show to show, or from from project to project. Sometimes we're lucky and say, hey, listen, we're gonna need something like this for a week from now, or hey, we need a few tracks like this ASAP.
Right.
or like, hey, when do you need this by? Now.
Yeah.
So
yesterday.
yeah.
That doesn't sound like a tomato.
It's always different. So that's the answer, I guess. It changes all the time.
Yeah, sure.
Let's bounce kind of back to before you guys were getting into this, the transition into getting into this. Elik, you went to Berkeley School of Music, correct?
Yes, College of Music, yes.
So you have a background in composition, music theory, and such?
Yes, I mean, I'm a classical trained musician when I was back in Venezuela. I mean, that was my life. I mean, I started with piano, and since I was like 6, 7 years old. So I went through the whole classical training, the little kid playing piano and things like that, and practicing. And but I was 12, 13. That wasn't cool anymore. So I started going into bands and rock bands and things like that. So I didn't want to be a piano player. I want to be a keyboard player because that was cooler. Right. So, there were different transitions into that. And then came back to being serious again, where I wanted to play some jazz. So it just was exploring process growing up in Venezuela. The good thing about this, I was also exposed to Latin music all the time. So I think that the language that I was able to acquire, during those times was great, because, I mean, I have a kind of extend language, but I still have a lot to learn. So when I decided to go to Berkeley, it's funny because the decision was made, I want to go there and do film scoring. I mean, for some reason, I just fell in love with that career right there. Before I left Venezuela, I wanted to do some performance as well, but when I got there and saw those kids playing jazz, I said, listen, man, forget about it. Do what you want to do. So yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's just unbelievable. People who, I mean, the same way that I grew up with that. I mean, these kids over here, they grew up, listening to the great master in jazz, so they have that in their blood. I don't think that I had it at that level. So yeah, go ahead.
You have to explore, and it's a new territory, and it's like they've been doing it. They put the 10,000 hours into that genre, and that's yeah. But it's what you do with what you got to parlay it into something bigger, and I think that's what's awesome about what you're doing. And to know that you wanted to do film scoring before you went to school, I got accepted to many music schools, and I didn't go because I had older friends that I was jamming with that dropped out, and they're like, "No, man, time." And I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't think about film scoring." I mean,
Greg, where did you get into though, Greg?
Five Towns.
But you got into Juilliard, right?
I got into Juilliard. Oh, I got an audition to Juilliard, but I'm not saying this is a bad thing. The ethnicity thing, minority thing. There's 2 people in my grade that get scholarships, and I was one of them. And it was like a 5% scholarship, like a quarter to Juilliard. But you have to try out. You have to do the audition. So when I went to go look into that, that's a rigorous process in itself.
Yeah,
that's very intimidating, and you're going up kids that are really theoretically amazing. Now I'm really good at with my ears, I can read music and drum composition, but it was really overwhelming, and my friends were already in school ahead of me. So they were dropping out, and I'm like, I'm just going to be in a band and drop out. And not drop out, not go to music school. So if I knew about film composition like I do now, and how awesome that industry could possibly be, and to, just look at music from that perspective instead of just being in a band kind of thing, I would have done that a long time ago. So that's what makes it so interesting with you guys. And Juan, we're going to go into you as well.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it so interesting. And most kids don't know what the fuck they want to do before they go to school. Yeah. They go to school and they just do it for the experience, and they're really just kind of going by the way
their parents.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that it is important to understand, when I went to Berkeley, I was already 23 years old. So I think that the maturity level, going 18, 19 is totally different. Plus, I prepared for 2 years before I went over there. What I did, I went and studied with an amazing arranger and composer. His name is Jerry Well. He's still in Venezuela. He's 82 years old. And the guy, is just unbelievable. So I kind of, have I dropped out. I had a business degree, but I mean, I wasn't happy doing it. I was thinking about music all the time when I was going to school. So, I think that I went on the right age and also took it very seriously, and I knew what I wanted. And I fell in love with the career before starting, because just the thought of, working with the images and working and writing for a story and things like that. And I think that I had a strong background to actually support that, but helped me out a little bit. And since then, I don't know, man, I love the process. The process when I'm talking is not even writing music, just meeting with the director and, understanding what they want, that little puzzle of saying, I have no idea what I'm going to write. I mean, because at the beginning, you really, okay, what can I do so I don't sound like my score that I did before? But it happened they are hiring you because they like what you did. You know what I mean? So all that challenge, keep it really interesting, because I tend to get bored pretty quickly. I mean, if I listen to a track for a minute, I'm done. But film scoring, it challenges you to do different things. It challenges you to try to get out of your comfort zone. For example, you feel very comfortable in this, but then you don't know how to do that. Well, maybe you bring somebody to collaborate. So it's like a very, very, very open, way of writing music. That's probably what I like.
Great. That's great. So that business degree that you got, or that you went to school for, kind of it helped with your business, didn't it? Eventually, with taking what you do, the talent, what you love, and actually monetizing it and making it.
I don't remember anything that I did in school.
You're exactly my dad.
What I learned from doing this, and learning from other people. And I have made many mistakes, handling money and things like that. I have some good decisions and things, but I honestly, I remember me being in a classroom, but I don't recall any of the class, anything like that.
Now let's see. Now, Elik, your background, that's fantastic, and thank you for sharing that with us. It's enlightening, and there's even more you can go into. But and Juan, I want to hear your background. We want to hear your background, and then I want to hear how you guys met and the whole story here. So
sure, yeah. I also went to Berkeley College of Music. On my end, I was actually 18, so I was pretty young, and I started playing guitar also pretty young, but I was a rocker, and I had rock bands. I was just really like into heavy stuff, and a lot of the artists that I used to follow. They went to Berkeley, so I was like, that's how I learned about it. So I was like, oh, cool, yeah, that seems like a cool place to go. So I went there. At the beginning, to tell you the truth, I just wanted to play guitar, and actually, like, it was funny because, like, I told my parents back then, hey, listen, I want to study music, but my thing was like, oh, but I'm gonna do music engineering.
Right.
Kind of
The
like,
MP&E program.
exactly, yeah. So that way it wouldn't be like oh, you're just gonna do music. And then it's funny because every time they were saying, oh yeah, he's gonna go study music engineering. No, it's gonna be music. Like, it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, how's
So
that
anyway,
music thing going?
exactly, yeah. So anyway, I went there and fell in love with the school. I fell in love with the energy, with the people, and everything. So I started learning about many possibilities and whatnot. My major was MP&E, which is the music production and engineering, and contemporary writing, which is like arranging and writing. But meanwhile, I was also playing. And then actually, what got me into engineering was writing some stuff and recording some stuff. And then when I got the mix back, I didn't like it. I was like, oh my god, like, I want to learn how to do this myself. And that's how I got into it. Actually, it was funny because I didn't even have a computer back then. I was just completely like technology ignorant, so it was a really weird decision to do. But anyway, so I did the whole program. I really liked it. Met a lot of cool people. I actually met Elik. He used to work in a place called the Berkeley Performance Center, selling tickets for the concerts. And I used to go all the time to buy the tickets. And I used to see him, and he's like, yeah, this dude is probably from Greece or Croatia or whatever, And we used to always speak in English, And then one time we got together. We were working in something called the New England High School Jazz Festival or something like that. So we're like 6 a.m. Loading like all the show, and we're together and we're like, hey man, yeah. So where you from? Oh, I'm from Venezuela. It's like, no kidding. And then we start talking, speaking in Spanish,
There it
and
is.
we became really, really, really good friends.
From
And then,
Greece.
yeah. But then he graduated before me. He went to Los Angeles, and then after that, I moved to Miami. I started working in the record business. So I was working with Latin pop artists, with Ricky Martin, Shakira, and artists like that.
Right.
And then I transitioned also, part-time into doing sound for TV. And then at some point, I moved to Los Angeles, and I was working with Elik and Freddie, who's another Venezuelan guy who went to school with us. I got involved with them, to record and mix the scores and things like that. Meanwhile, I'm also working in TV, and every so often I had a record or a mix or something. So I was doing both things at the same time. The cool thing, though, by working on TV, I started meeting a lot of, showrunners, executive producers, editors, and just got really like inside of the TV post world, per se. And then at some point, Elik and I, we decided, listen, it would be make a lot of sense if we do, we start up a company, okay? And then, so that segue into writing music in some of the shows that I was working on, and it was really interesting because, like, at the end of the shoot day, I could go to the editing base for some of the editors and see what they're doing, or actually even being in the scenes when they're shooting and already thinking, okay, they're gonna need this, and that, and then we went back to the studio with information that nobody had, and okay, let's start writing a bunch of these things, and kind of do a little bit of a little network beforehand.
You had that.
So, yeah, I don't know. That in a nutshell is a little bit of a story, I guess.
That's a the nice streamlined version. So like being on the set and having that heads up on everything would give you the headspace to be into right before everything even happens. So you're like that much farther ahead when everything starts clicking in. That's awesome.
It's just a coincidence just being there, and also just being every day close to the editors or the post supervisors and things like that,
That's a big advantage that I think that many people don't have. Like, he was able to go around and meet the people and see what was going on. So of course, you can predict what they're looking for, and they were doing right there. Okay, let's do this and that. And not only that, like I think that the personal connection that one has with those people, like you see faces every day you're talking to them and things like that. So it's super important than us being in a cave, doing what we do. So it's again, it's like a super plus that we had over there.
Because networking is key. If you're not networking, you're not working, right?
That's good.
Exactly, yeah.
I like that.
But I guess one thing to add about, I don't know, I don't remember Elik, but maybe like 2 years ago or maybe 3, as Music Mind started growing, we had more shows and we had much more projects. Made the decision to stop doing sound for TV, okay, and then spend 100% of the time here in Music Mind, okay, producing, writing, and just focusing on music way more than before. Before it was kind of like a mix between the two worlds,
Yeah, one thing like Music Mind, we started this in 2010. It was like a part-time job thing. I was doing my thing and one was doing his thing, and we were like little building the company. You know what I mean? Because I still was doing my own. That I still do, but I had my projects and all that stuff, and one was working on what he just told you. And so it was like I won't say a slow process. Like it took the time that it needed to take. It just wasn't like, okay, we went and let's just jump into this and spend 100%. I wish we could have done that. Things would have moved a little faster. But as I said, it was part-time and literally gradually, more and more time into the company. And now, we are both, I guess, pretty blessed and lucky to have this going on, yeah.
You make your own luck, I think that when you're, especially with music and or an art or being the creative aspect, you're brought up in this world pre-programmed to just get a job, go to college, get a job, and that's it. You're never really embraced. And if you are, great, you grew up in a family that really embraced your creativity, but nobody really takes you seriously until you're actually doing it yourself, and nobody's going to really be that support to be like, yeah, go ahead, do your own thing. But to be able to do that and then transition into it full time, that's the way to do it, because you're not going to throw yourself in a position where you're going to be on the street not being able to pay your bills. You need to do what you need to do do what you love to do. So to be able to transition, that's the way you got to do it, and no fear kind of thing, putting the components together, having people that you meet and establishing partnerships and working together, holding each other accountable, right? When you guys started transitioning into doing this full time, what kind of mindset was going on? Did you feel the stresses of the other things? I know, Juan, you were saying you were doing a lot of other things, and then you kind of going from the mixing into just the composing part, which is still in the music genre, right? You're still doing music, no matter if it's mixing or composition. One hand feeds the other. It's both music. So that's great. Like, how's that mindset for you to be like, okay, I'm just going to start doing the composition now, and Elik, you start focusing on this, and we bring it together. And how does that cultivate?
One thing that I can say, it's there's a word in Spanish is porfiados, which means being stubborn. Okay, and we kind of have like a funny like ongoing joke between Elik and I. We call ourselves los porfiados. Okay, the stubborns. Because basically, I feel like not a lot of people do this. You need to take risks.
Yeah.
When you do a new venture, a new career, or just an idea, okay? Not everything works out right away. So, honestly, I gotta say, there were some times you wake up and you come to a studio and you work, and it's like, oh man, this is hard. It's not working out, or you're putting money in, and it's kind of like investment on money and time. And you trust on this, you trust on what you're doing, and you see it through. And we don't quit. So we just keep going, no matter what. We always keep pushing, until it works. Not only that, it's like no matter, this is something that it's that we share, Elik and I, and since the very first projects that we did, no matter the size of the project or the importance, we always give 100%. So we are always really proud of quality, So then, to answer your question, I guess it's just passion, when we, at least, we're gonna start. It's not start, but continue writing, on composing, on then going back and forth between mixing or mixing a movie, or at the end, it's part of the same world, but it's just giving 100%. So if it's a mindset, it's just giving it passion, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, that comes with, I think, with the word respect. I mean, we respect what we do. Basically, it's you to show respect for what you're doing and love what you're doing. So, I mean, to be honest with you, listen, I mean, the question about music and then you're not gonna make it, and then, you're not gonna be making any money and things like that. I mean, you hear that all the time. In my personal opinion, I didn't have any other options to do this because otherwise I would be miserable. That's as simple as that. Yes, I mean, I knew what was at stake. It's risky, and you can trying to find all the difficulties in that, but I couldn't see myself doing anything else. But I like business, I like that kind of stuff. So, this environment that Juan and I created, this is a business that, he's my partner. We work together. We're aligned in that kind of, I said, porfiado, like, okay, let's keep doing. I mean, when times are rough, still, you know what, this is going to pass. I mean, we're going to go through this one and we're going to go back to normal, things like that. So just having that mentality with your business partner, I mean, that is a big plus, and that helps a lot. I mean, even if we're different, of course, I mean, if we were the same, I mean, probably we're working together. You know what I mean? Like, probably that's a man, because I think that we complement each other in many things, and we have been able to successfully, do that for a long time. Like, I can bring something to the table that he can, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So that complement helps quite a lot in a business relationship. But I don't know, a lot of people ask, especially young musicians, like, oh, I'm not scared. Listen, I mean, you got to think about it. Do you have a choice? I mean, do you see really doing something else? And every story is different. Everybody has a different story, and also different timing. There are composers, or there are, musicians that they make it in 5 years. Mm-hmm. There are that take 40 years to make it, to get that big thing. So I think that people need to understand that. Don't panic. If you keep doing,
enjoy the journey.
Exactly. Enjoy the journey, and keep doing what you love, as one says, like 100%, like, right, respecting what you're doing. I truly believe that it will happen. I mean, you can't guarantee things in life, but it will happen, So I sometimes when people compare, oh my gosh, I want to start working on assistant composer and start making movies, 3 years after that, but I did the same and I'm still, working on assistant composer. You know what I mean? So, okay, well, don't worry about it. You're doing your best. It will. I mean, keep pushing, because everybody has a different timing, in life. So
yeah, these are great words of wisdom. And go ahead, Juan.
Something really quick though too was like, you were, I think you touched on this for a second before. You make your luck, okay?
Yep.
So things are not gonna get just handed to you, okay? You need to go get it. So you need to know what you want, and you need to produce those things, and you need to make that happen in your life. So I'm a true believer in that, So you need to know what you want and get it. Yeah. Go there and get it.
That's great words of wisdom, and I'm sure your guys.
We believe that totally.
I'm sure your time is spent well, like priority wise on your business, instead of just like sitting down and just watching TV and doing the easy thing. You're like, you push yourself into making habits of doing things that are going to make you more productive, and then that kind of just takes over, and then you just get sucked into that world, and then everything else is just like, you can reward yourself later, but that, like, the mind is always going to give you the option of doing the easy thing, and to opt out of doing what is right, to be able to push the needle that much further, or the ball down the field that much further with where you need to be. So you know, just taking those inspired actions and being, okay, I'm gonna create something today. Especially with this whole shit going down, this whole situation, people are stuck in their house not doing anything. This is like a great opportunity to explore those other areas that you thought about maybe doing, but you never did before, and taking that initiative and going, okay, I'm going to start learning how to mix. I'm going to start learning how to do like some scores, or watch a movie and like take it and like try to do your own music to it. Like just experiment, like instead of just sitting there and watching a movie and not doing anything. And this podcast is for musicians that have analysis by paralysis, or they don't know what to do, and they're like, oh, we have to play live. That's the only thing we need to do, and we can't do that anymore, so we can't do anything. And this brings an individual other side to it of like income that you can create, and you could take things that you've done before and you can transpose them and actually make them tailored to some kind of film score. We were talking about a friend that I have that was in a band, and he started doing scores for video games, and he took his album
for Marvel,
and they ended up taking some of that music and then repurposing it for Marvel, and it's just a great idea. So it was very inspiring that way. So to say to the people that are listening, before you started getting your opportunities to work on stuff, whether it be in sound, in mix and engineering, and then composition, you know, how did you kind of get into that? Like, I know it's obviously through networking, but is there any type of advice you could, if I wanted to get into film scoring, right? And I'm somebody that's new to the game, what would be some advice that you would give me to get into it, besides the making of the composition?
The $1 million question, right?
Come see my course. This is how I got into it.
Yes.
I think, I mean, there are different ways of doing it. You know, I think that time is a big ally. You know, you have to be patient about this. You have to be patient about where you go and kind of do your research. I mean, to start, first, I think that you got to see where you are at, how strong you feel about what you were doing. I mean, for example, the story about your friend, I'm sure that, you know, his sound, everything was, you know, already there, and was a unique sound. I'm just supposing, you know, something different. We love this. Let's put it over here. So, you know, that's like you know, you believe in what you're doing as an artist, and you keep doing it, and you develop your sound, and then you go out there. You know, it could be that somebody's going to say, this is great. I never have heard something like this. I want this for my next movie. And then you get into this huge film, you know. Okay, that could happen. At the same time, you can go, you know, I'm just starting out. I'm going to go to film schools. I'm going to meet, you know, young directors that are studying and they are doing their short film, because I want to get my hands into the and just trying out how I feel about the scoring in a movie. You know what I mean? I mean, that kind of stuff. So it could go, you don't know where it will be. I remember going back to Berkeley. I mean, this great teacher, Eric Risoner, he was a music editing teacher, but he did introduction to film scoring. I remember, I mean, that's a course that you take even if you're not going to do film scoring. And he said, well, I mean, in this group, there are people who already chose, you know, they want to, you know, that's their major. Sure. Also, there are people that are just, you know, want to hear about what it's all is about, and say, but that day that somebody offers you a movie, say yes, and then figure it out how you're going to do it. You know, that day that somebody, hey, you know, man, I'm making a movie. I know you're a musician. Can you do the score? Say yes, and then go and figure out how you can do it, because you don't know what could happen when you sit down and write it. Oh man, this is actually great, and then you kind of start.
Yeah, and there's so many people in this town alone. Like, you look at someone like John Bryan, who was in Jellyfish, or, you know, in other bands, and then they go on to do it. Trevor Rabin's like a greatest example.
Yeah.
You know, he was in Yes and was doing Speed and Speed 2, the ship cruise thing or whatever. You know, I mean, he's done so many movies. Yeah. You just never know. And it's so true. So true.
Didn't know that, by the way. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, so it sounds like to me like you literally, we have a thing here like that we always go by, success leaves clues kind of thing. Like, you're making music, you're doing it, you want to do one thing, but oh my God, later in life, the time that you put into it, that 10,000 hours may not lead to what you thought it was going to lead to, but now you could shift it over here and start working on something different. But like, still, if you didn't do those 10,000 hours, you would have never been able to do this in the first place.
Correct.
You know, it's like
exactly. Yeah, exactly. One thing that I wanted to add though, which I don't think everybody thinks about this. It's like actually meet and hang out your fellow composer friends or fellow mixing friends or fellow engineer friends. Okay, because sometimes it's not the producer or the director is going to give you the job.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can, hey, I don't have time. Can you please mix this for me? Or I don't have time. Can you write these 2 cues for me? It's too much music. So can you do this? So then that way it's a great opportunity to get into some projects or some situations and some relationships that somebody else already built beforehand. Okay. And that always leads to something else. Your first project with this person that you met, that's gonna show them that they can trust you and that you can turn in really good work responsibly. And then next time, they're gonna call you again, and so on. So you can build from there.
It's a great nugget of information right there. Yeah, I mean, like right now we have on the back end of this, we're not going to go deep into it, but we're creating some type of, the Combine has people like yourself where we'll be able to collaborate with other engineers and producers and just basically songwriters, composers, and have each person like just leverage their distribution onto like taking what you guys learn and modularizing it and making an education platform for people to come in and learn. And then what it does is it creates a network of like-minded individuals, and then basically it can lead to more opportunities. And that's what's happening on the back end of this show is like, in my life and in Mike's life, we're these relationships with people, and we're going to start leveraging them and bringing them into what we're offering the listeners out there. Because again, I'm going back to this, it's a lot of people just don't know what to do, and they need some place that's going to inspire them. Like, these are inspiring stories. This is like,
and granted too, it's like back to Juan's point, you have to go out and get it.
Yeah.
We're just given a distribution and an avenue at the end of the day. It's not like you're going to say, hey, here's the keys to the castle. Now you can be Juan Camarano and Elik Alvarez. It doesn't work that way.
Right. It doesn't. But
it's really, sorry.
No, go ahead. You go.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that it's really also, we are in a situation that we do have several shows happening at the same time.
Yeah.
We're pretty lucky that also they're like, repeating seasons. Okay. So we have a stream of work and opportunities of placements that are happening over and over. Right. So sometimes what happens is that we get approached by a new composer, let's say. Okay. And hey, listen, and they have the same questions. I want to get into it. I don't know what to do. And at this point, honestly, we don't even know like at what level of composing they're at, right?
But so they got to make coffee then first.
No, of course. I'm saying like, no, but beyond that, it's like, I mean, they're not even here in the studio. They're just kind of, listen, we have these things going on. Check them out. And you can just write some music and just send it to us, and then maybe that's gonna find a place in the edit. Some people do it right away, and they do a great job, and then we start a really great relationship with these people. Some people, you tell them, and the opportunity is there, and they don't do anything about it.
It's funny how that one works. Like, I've had that situation before where like I've worked in post houses or recording studios or anywhere else. And my joke about the coffee is no joke. I mean, they won't even make a cup of coffee for somebody and they get fired. Like, you have the gate, you have the key, almost the keys to the castle. And all it takes is making one pot of Folgers. One pot of Folgers, dude.
Somebody's not even at the studio. They're giving them a shot at something. And then like, we're going to take that immediately. Like when I took the Jesse from the Binary Code, the composer that I was just talking to, he's putting out music now. He goes, "Hey, put drum tracks to this." I'm like, "This is an awesome track." I took it, I put drum track to it immediately, like the next night, and like I sent it back, and he loved it. And it's like, yeah, that, and I have the ability to do that. So it's like, just take the initiative. If somebody else gives me an opportunity, I'm not going to sit around and wait. I'm going to be like, "Yo, Mike, I got this opportunity. What do you think about this idea?" And I'm going to start getting it done as soon as possible. Not go through the motions. Not just go through the motions. I'm going to hit people that I am mentored by.
Well, I mean, it's like in my situation, I scored my first 2 commercials this year.
Nice. Yeah.
You know, I mean, there were spec commercials nonetheless. I mean, they didn't go anywhere, but one was for Coke, the other one was for Levi's. And so, like, if you know, and I literally turned them around in like 6 hours, like boom, 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 mixed
Yeah,
done.
you just wanted to, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and have it back. You know, I mean,
Be proactive too. Just need to be proactive. And also something, you know, sometimes you get a job in the studio or assistant, whatever, and you know, we've had this situation before. It's like you have the guy who doesn't ask, he just does. He just starts doing things, and that's great because that's the whole idea. You want somebody to help you, or the person's just gonna sit around and wait until you ask them for help. So you need to be proactive in whatever position you're gonna be at, whatever opportunity. Just be proactive, and then things are gonna happen.
Yeah,
that's it. Just dive in.
It also shows good work ethic too. I mean,
yeah,
that
absolutely.
All the time.
So let's kind of let's touch on some stuff here real quick that I think is more let's talk about the way the industry is trending for you guys. Granted, you guys have multiple shows, you have multiple opportunities, like you said, Juan, with placements there over and over again. Do you see kind of the composer going away and some of these other like jingle houses that are putting out like license free music as a thing, the future, or is it still producers are still asking for the stuff, you know, scored, or you have stuff kind of in your guys' catalog that you can put to stuff?
I think it's you know, you're always gonna find people that care more about the money, you know, on the budget. So if they can have a free track and save money, they don't really care. But a lot of people that we work with, they're really, really proud of what they do. Because they're proud of what they do, they want quality music. They not only want quality music, but they want the relationship. They want to talk to an artist. They want to talk to a composer, and they feel pampered about it. You know, they feel like, oh, my project's going to sound better. It's going to look better. It's going to be, these guys are going to take it to another level. And I don't think that's going to go away, honestly, because people are always going to want that. Even if it's somebody that doesn't have the money, you can ask. I mean, if you can ask somebody, do you rather have free music and you look for itself, you know, that it's not that great, or would you rather have a composer work with you? You know, they're always going to choose that, you know, of course.
And the truth that here's the deal: people who really cares, even if they don't have the money, they will find a way. You know, they still will recognize. So usually we try to develop a relationship with those type of people. Okay, so you know, if you want to get something cheap and bad, you are more. I mean, nobody's gonna stop you to do it. And maybe, and I'm not trying to insult anyone over here, maybe you won't recognize, you know, what the difference between good and bad. I mean, that actually happened, and it's true. Like, can you hear it? No, I think that sounds great. Well, I mean, okay, you know, I mean that's your opinion, and you know, you deal with that. But we try to, you know, to get together and just with people who actually align with our way of thinking, and that usually is going to keep bringing more people that appreciates and value, you know, the quality of music, and you know, the quality of one mentioned speaking to someone, you know. So I honestly don't think, yes, changes are going to happen, and you know, people are going to have more choices, but there is going to be still a good amount of people who are going to appreciate and want to do things the right way. And you know, sometimes budget honestly is not a problem. I mean, because if you approach a composer with a high quality product and say, listen, this is what's happening, well, how can we, you know, find a way? I don't have, you know, the money to record with an orchestra, but maybe we can do it with a small ensemble. You know, that's the stuff of thing, the conversation that we get. I mean, when we're talking about that, you know, like, yeah, no, I cannot record in LA, so maybe we need to record, you know, somewhere else, which is cheaper. But it's still that thought of still we need to do something of high quality is there. So you find a way how to do it, you know, for a lower fee. You know, we'll try to accommodate, but you know, still the goal at the end is just making something good, not searching like a free royalty library, get, you know, 20,000 tracks for $1, and you know, you're gonna sound great, and if you know, well, good luck with that. But
well, that's you guys with the standard hold yourself to, and I think that's what creates longevity. 1, 2, the value that you bring to the table, and 3, success. You know, I mean, nobody there's the people that do need those types of beats and that look for that type of catalog, and that are just looking for the easy way out without really looking for a way to still get it in a still budgetary process and like make it cost effective. But they the mindset should be there. That's just my opinion. I think it's our opinion all together collectively, is that try to do it the best way possible, man. Yeah, it could be cost effective, but like make it sound great. Don't fucking cut corners.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about hiring an orchestra. Like there's a way to get around that. There's plenty
It's
of
called contact.
yeah.
correct.
A lot of cases, people use contact.
My question.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you can add to that, and then I have a question. Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna say, Mike. Yeah, but I think that you'll see different things in the industries, like where you want to go. You know, you're gonna chase what you actually where you want to be. You know, what kind of type of business model you want to do. What is the people you want to surround yourself with. So that's important to answer that question. You know how you're gonna focus on what you want to do and the type of people you want to work with.
Yeah.
You what do they say? Your consciousness, well, your mindset is based on the 5 people 5 people that you're around most. Your conscious. So if you're around people that are,
You are the company you keep.
that you're going to be cutting corners and just not holding yourself to higher standards and accountability. That's not going to get you where you want to go. But if you're surrounding yourself and getting out of your comfort zone, like you said, you get out of your comfort zone, you grow. You choose to take a path that you're going to set. You're going to blaze yourself, and talk to mentors that have already done it, that you may not even know when you reach out to. Like when I go to the gym or whatever, it's like you're not going to go work out with the personal trainer that's a big fat guy. You're going to go to the guy that's ripped. I want to talk to that guy. What do you do? Tell me what to do. I'll do it. And like rip me apart and put me back together. That's the kind of mind. But people are comfortable. They hate being pushed. And I say this too. And I say it, based on, the bands I'm in, the projects I'm part of. The reason the Music Combine was started between Mike and I was because we wanted to validate that there are other means and other ways to be able to pursue your music. And when you're in a band with other people, their mindset is maybe not on the same level. You're not personally working on your mindset or your personal mental faculties and being able to build those mental faculties to get out of your comfort zone, to try other things, to be able to push your music the way you deserve and to be justified. And now you're pushing your bandmates and they're getting upset with you. And at the same time, it's like, well, we got to do this, man. We got to push it because nothing else is working really. And that's great, but we got to keep going and trying new things. So ability to be able to recognize that and then surround yourself and go out and surround yourself with other people that are doing that is just the way it should be with anything. So this is all centric for music centric. So if you're that guy that's out there with your band and they're not doing anything and you're the only guy in there, or there's 2 guys that collaborate with people that are doing it, and like ask them questions and start applying those different strategies that they're using, and start having that, develop that team, that like a team of people that are like-minded. So, again, I'm kind of going to, it's not irrelevant. It's totally relevant. You guys, your relationship right now in your music, the structure that it's set up, like Juan, what are you bringing to the table for a composition? And Elik, what are you bringing to the competition? Give us a composition for an example. Like right now, like you're working on something, you're working on a couple bars of it. Elik, are you working on the post? I mean, how does that work?
Well, there are different ways of collaborating. Usually I've never done that. Like, I write this, and the way. Let me try to explain this the best way I can. For example, you can share a project. You can, I'm gonna take, if you're scoring a film, you're gonna pick these type of things, and you're gonna write a theme. So you can, with another composer, like take care of that, and I'm gonna take of this part of the film. Mm-hmm. It's not like you sit together in a piano and songwrite a song. You know what I mean? I've never done that. I have collaborated many times, and with many composers, and of course with Juan, here at Music Mind. But it's not that process. We could have a creative process first, like a creative talk, and how we still think that the composing work, for me works better as a second, right? And then you can have a conversation. Then you can, like, okay, let me play back this to you. you know what, man, I'm not too sure about this section. How about if we change something? That's at least, because I mean, at least the way that your mind works when you start writing, I think that you need your time to start laying it down, the thing, how you feel it, you know? So there are different ways to collaborate. I don't think it's I think that, you know, with composer collaboration, maybe people think like it's the songwriting team. Like, okay, I'm gonna sit in the piano, let's write a lyric and let's do it together. I mean, we don't do it that way, you know, to be honest with you. I mean, we talk, we conceive the concept, you know, at the beginning before we do anything, and everybody goes its own way, at least for half an hour, for an hour, or for a day, and then we come together again. But of course, there is a collaboration process. It's not, I mean, sometimes you do everything by yourself. Sometimes you ask questions. Sometimes, okay, can you sit down with me a little bit? Just listen to this part. I mean, what do you think? You know what? If you change this, it's probably going to be better. But the still is, or at least the way I like to do it, is let's talk, let's conceive an idea, and let's see what happens. And I'll see you tomorrow. You know, things like that. You know what I mean? So, and sometimes, yes, you divide. I mean, if you're going to divide projects, as I said, like, you know, you can watch the whole film or the whole thing. You know what? I think that I want to do this. I feel, you know, pretty strongly about doing this scene. You do the other one, and let's put it together and see what happens.
Very cool. So you'll watch something and be like, all right, I'm inspired by that. I think I have an idea for that. And then, hey, Juan, listen, I think I have an idea for that. You want to take the rest of the ladder here?
Yeah, exactly. And also sometimes like you get too stuck inside what you're doing, and with the other person comes with a fresh ear, is like, oh no, that's not really working for the project or whatever, you know. So it's always having a fresh point of view. What works really great on both ends, you know.
That's awesome. That's such a cool, like, I've never experienced that like that. I mean, I have to the extent of like music, but not with who's that guy behind you?
Oh, I knew that question was coming. That's Arturo Toscanini. I don't know, for some reason with Toscanini, like I love conducting, and you know, for me, that's beautiful art.
You've done it a few times, right?
Yeah, I've done it for my own projects and things like that, and I've conducted other people. I mean, it's not what I do. I mean, like, you know, people is not calling me here in town. Hey, can you come? Somebody once called me and said, listen, it's not my thing, like, you know, to conduct. But I love it. I love the art. I love it. And I mean, I don't know, for me, Toscanini, he was an asshole, but he was the best of that. And I had that picture somewhere and said, you know, I
it's awesome. Listen,
I like it. You know, I don't know. That guy there is something on his personality that was pretty attractive, because he was an awesome conductor.
I was in orchestra my whole life in school. So the conductors were with a music teacher. And the one guy I had that really got me into playing drums originally, he was so into it. His armpits were always sweating like crazy. So into it, though. I always like, he's so passionate about that on, you know, like
that's not my tempo.
Exactly.
I'm here, you're there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's you know, it's very passionate, as you said. I mean, Greg, I mean, you know, conducting and again, I mean, I'm not, people is not calling me, people call me, you know, to write music, but not to conduct. It's not what I do, but I just love it, and I happen to be a Toscanini. I mean, it comes back to Berkeley, like, you're my conducting teacher there. Also, you know, hey, check out these guys. Oh my gosh, the technique and all that stuff. I don't want to get boring here, but yeah, I mean, that's why he's there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. He's a stern looking dude. Makes me.
And Juan, where's your picture of John Petrucci in the back?
Juan, you kind of look like John Petrucci. John, you kind of Juan, you kind of look like John Petrucci a little bit.
That's fine, man. That's fine.
Or beard.
It's like right before Berkeley, I was actually, you know, I was so into Dream Theater and John Petrucci. I was like, oh, they went to Berkeley and Steve Vai and whatnot. I was so obsessed, you know, just like going to the concerts. I actually like. One of the Dream Theater songs came up in shuffle in my car yesterday, and I saw the cover of Awake, and I was like,
"Oh, what song? What song? Because that's like my favorite Dream Theater record."
And I was like, I remember I had like the cover of that album. It's like signed by, you know, I was like so into all those bands and all those guys all the time, you know.
You guys are serious, man. Like if you got like a Periphery, there's a band called Periphery. They go on, they're a pretty big metal band, and they use something called I think it's called Axe Effects, and they don't play through actual standard cabinets. Or
the rack, the effects. Yeah.
So John, they had technical difficulties a lot of times, and John Petrucci was literally like, "Hey man, if you don't get your shit together, you guys are off the tour." Because
Oh shit!
But you know what's funny? You know what's funny about
Get
Periphery?
his shit together, yeah.
Yeah, you don't get your shit together, Petrucci's going to kick you off the tour. That's
Oh my
great.
god!
mad at them. They were upset about it. They're like, dude, we gotta start bringing our amps or something. If this happens, he's gonna kick us off the tour. It was like,
And that's why they're endorsed by Peavy now. They are. I mean, that's the truth.
So funny,
You know what's funny about that band is they're not the most like. I mean, they are popular amongst their fans in the whole prog rock thing. But we interviewed a guy named Machine a few weeks ago here on our show, and he's a really big producer. He's in that prog metal thing, and he was telling me that like the drummer from Periphery is the guy who created Get Good Drums, that program.
Yeah, he's got the samples.
He said literally those guys are driving Ferraris around. And
wow, that's really cool.
Mia Mansour is like the guitar player. He has Horizon guitar devices. Every freaking prog metal kid has bought his pedal.
Wow.
There you go. I mean, here's something that I mean, they're at a level, right, where they're able to develop it. Like we talked about, and
they're like watching paint dry live though.
So it's here. Eddie Van Halen like was so into his setup and his pedals and his amp, and like he got to do that for a living, and that was his passion. So it's like these guys and other bands, like there's other means to develop other streams of income to be able to brand yourself around using the equipment that you have and being able to embrace that and actually put that out there and like kind of develop individual streams of income that are based around the ecosystem of what you're already doing and taking what you're already doing and repurposing it to be able to actually develop more content and develop more fan engagement and just be more successful instead of just the traditional, I'm in a band and I'm going to make music and that's it. It's like you could take that and just kind of, that's why you guys, like, I'm happy you're here because it's like you're a big hard rock fan. Elik, I don't know if you said you're a jazz fan.
No, dude. I mean, I did the Flipper, Metallica, Rush. I'm a big Rush fan. Neil Peart, all that stuff. I'm a drummer, so
we need to get together and jam then.
Yeah. No. But listen, I mean, I've been through different stage, and but I love the guitar sound. It's funny because I mean, with the whole Eddie Van Halen thing, of course, you start going back to listening and things like that. So I just come, here on the piano. Dreams. Let me play this. I remember a little bit and things like that. But it's funny, like all those solos, all the melody. I was thinking of that in my car the right time, like all the melody involved in the guitar solos, and that was a conversation that I had with that teacher that I told you back with Jerry. Well, I mean, it's like amazing, the melodic content that a guitar player can bring, and we as piano players learn from that. I mean, try to copy because it's just unbelievable everything that is coming out of Eddie Van Halen solo, for example. And I was mentioning him that he recently, of course, that he passed away. So it's been for me. I love it, man. I love it, and I'm a melodic writing. When I write music, for me, melody is right there all the time. Even if some director will push you, I want something with texture and things like that. Everything always is hitting, that I put over there. Okay, you like texture, still you're gonna have texture with melody. I'm gonna find a way to give you texture that are gonna have a melody, and no one patch from Omnisphere that you press is gonna sound like that. But no. I love, man. It's again, my favorite one was Rush, and still is Rush, and I believe that. That band is better than your favorite band.
Yes, thank you.
But yeah. I mean.
So you guys want to say anything, bring to light anything that you want to like tell everybody that what's going on, or to go see, or where they could find you, and etc. Like the company, So you could plug yourself here, and. Kind of just.
Absolutely. I mean, we're called. We're actually through a process of a little bit of rebranding and how we're showing ourselves to the world. But it's called Music Mind Group. Okay, Music Mind Group, and but you can find us through Music Mind Tracks. So Music Mind Tracks is like part of what is Music Mind Group. Music Mind Group, if a team of composers led by Juan and I. Basically, where we create everything that we have been telling you guys during this conversation. And then Music Mind Tracks is our music licensing company, our library. So we have over 17,000 tracks at this point, and varies on different styles. And As we said, we are proud of keeping everything on a very high quality level, and the people that we work with. I mean, the senior composer that we talk. I mean, our collaborators here, they are amazing. They are unbelievable guys. I mean, first they are friends, and then friends that very talented friends. So yeah, musicmindtracks.com. You can check us out over there, and pretty soon, new website is going to be out with a little bit of it's going to be a different approach how we're actually selling ourselves to the public, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that one is coming pretty soon.
Yeah, there's a really cool video that you're going to be able to see in the website. It's kind of like show more of the process, that we do. It's like we're trying to portray more of a personal image. Yeah. Instead of a company and just like a bunch of tracks. So because ultimately that's what we do, and we're trying to show that to the clients. Okay, listen, when you work with us, this is what you're getting, instead of just a drive with a bunch of tracks.
I think that's great because it segments you from everybody else, and then two, it's just capturing what your essence is. So
exactly, yeah,
great. I look forward to that, and guys, check them out. If any composers, me and Mike always talk about this. Like, how do you? One question is like the composers that you use. You said friends and people that you know. Do you let anybody who contacts you? So you're very, very, very. You vet these people out. Obviously, like they have to be good and they can't be half-fasting and shit, right? Like,
that's all the key. I mean, one thing, do your homework. I mean, one thing that I, before sending an email to us. I mean, and Juan, I think they kind of touch that point a little bit. Do a little bit of your homework. Go and check what we have. And a good trick is to provide something that we don't have. Think about it. If you hear a catalog, and oh my God, they have great orchestral music and they have a lot of rock tracks, but they're lacking of Indonesian music, for example. Think about it. And I have a high quality collection of that. I guarantee we're going to call you back. If it's good and it's something that we don't have, I mean, the call is going to come like this. That I can tell. On the other hand, if you, listen, I have experience writing for TV shows and super short email, straight to the point, can you listen to these tracks? I mean, for us, just the first 5 seconds, 10 seconds of the track, you're going to identify right away. Man, this sounds great. And then, listen, this is what we do. And then, because, I mean, you gotta think about it. It takes time for us to reach out. It takes time for us to explain what is the process. So sometimes you have to be very, very clever on how to approach. And, listen, guys, I know you guys are busy. Here it is. Listen to the track. Give me a call. I can help. Because sometimes, yes, it's lengthy. Okay, and we need to explain the agreement. But so try to do your homework. I mean, if you do your homework and we're open. I mean, we have many writers that they just appear like, hey, these are my credits. This is what I have done in the past. Can you listen and say, oh, this is great? And it happened to be that at that moment we're doing a show. So this is perfect. Let's call the guy. So, be patient and sometimes if we don't answer right away, I mean, that doesn't mean that we don't want to talk to you. You know what I mean? That means that maybe we're busy or we're doing something else and just try 2 weeks after that. We do the same. We do exactly the same with our clients. We send an email and no reply back. And then, we don't feel about it, in a week. Hey, I sent an email, I know you're busy, that kind of stuff,
Classic, business, etiquette,
just follow up. One thing too, to add, it's a lot of times like, hey, are you guys open for new music? It's like, yeah, we're always open for new music. And so then if you are contacting us, for example, it's like, just send us your best work. Yeah. Because maybe you're not an orchestral guy. Maybe you're not a hip hop guy. You're a rock guy. So then don't try to do something that you do own strong, Send us your best tracks. And then and then the follow-up question is, is this music available? And would you want to include it in our catalog? Right. If so, then let's move on, but so let's stop with so many questions. Just like, hey, here it is. This is my best things. Even it could be 5 tracks. This is my best 5 tracks, and so that way you'll find a great opportunity.
Yeah, and that's the best way to actually get into the original music team. Meaning that when we get shows, as we have to write music. Yep. We have to write original tracks, and that's the next step. Because you have to test the composer or the artist, how fast can you do it? I mean, you show me, we have music. I mean, that sounds great. So can you adapt to what we're actually requesting? Listen, we're looking into this. I mean, and we need a rock track, but it needs that. So for us to go there, the trust need to be there, because it's time and I mean, it's the trust that our clients will have on us, like what we're going to be delivering. You know what I mean? Because if it's not good, we're not going to send it. Just as that. If it's not good, it's not leaving Music Mind. It's not going to leave this, from here. We're not going to present something that we don't feel is strong enough. That's
not only that, but we know already by working with certain editors, we know what they like and we know how they react. So then sometimes we receive a track. It's like, listen, it's not to be objective. It's not that the track is bad. It's like, correct. We know that the editor or the client is not going to like it. So why are we going to waste our time and your time to send in something that they just not going to use? So just please don't take it personal. Just take this as like, oh, listen, okay, cool. They have inside information. I'm going to use the information to create a great track.
Yeah, what we expect is like if we send the track out, if we send that track out, we expect like what notes are gonna come, but the type of note that are becoming, hey, listen, can we change this and that? But we don't want to hear what the hell is this. I mean, I didn't ask for this. You know what I mean? We don't want to hear that. We want to hear. Oh, you know what? I don't like the drums. I don't like the bass here. I don't like the strings. So things like that. Can you change that? It's great, but that kind of feedback is usually what you get, unless you get, oh, we love it, but we don't want to get like, man, did you and I had a conversation over the phone and you send me this?
Stop sending me this garbage.
Yeah.
Streamline the process as much as possible, where you're optimizing both people's time, the artist, your time, the editor's time, and something and being like, okay, we could just send this over. And I think that's what they're saying here is, I know that's what you're saying is, you don't have to write a long, elongated email. Just say the points. Here's my music. This is what I'm best at. And, follow up, not like a spam follow up, just follow up.
Well, I think it goes back to what Aerosmith said. Let the music do the talking.
Well, there you go.
Don't send MP3s attached in email, please.
Oh yeah,
but that's a big thing for not only for us but for many music supervisors and things. It's like you could imagine the load of emails that you get, and then if you're getting a bunch of attachments, so just prepare a Dropbox or something easy, something that you don't need a special application to download, just something that you can click and listen to it. That's going to be great.
There you go. And that does it, I think, guys. If there's anything else, go ahead. But I mean, this is a great episode, and I really appreciate you being on the show. Mike, thanks for getting these guys. They're awesome.
I don't like either one of them.
Thank you.
I'm just kidding.
Thank you for inviting us to participate in this. I think it's great what you guys are doing. It's great to meet you, Greg. I mean, I think it's a fantastic topic to speak about, and I mean, we wish you really good luck on what you're doing, and thank you. Thank you. I mean, it's fun to talk about yourself, right?
Enough about me. Let's talk about me.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Elik, to our conversation a few weeks ago, I do have some stuff to send you, so watch out.
Oh yeah, please do so, man.
I got a few writers that I'm repping at the moment, so I want.
Very cool, man. We're here, man. We're here.
Well, thank you, guys. Nice to meet you, Greg. It was awesome talking to you, and looking forward to see this whole final thing done.
Definitely, it should be a few weeks, but yeah, it was great having you guys on, and we'll be talking soon.
Awesome. Right, thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
Too.
That was those guys are awesome. Like, I love episodes that just like time flies because
those guys. Elik, I met through Jill Dewick, who is on this show, and I met Juan through Elik, and just you couldn't not meet a nicer bunch of guys, because like sometimes when you meet composers, and we've been fortunate in the ones we've had on the show, and I speak to the standards that we hold as a show. Have all been really gracious, good, nice people. I've worked with some composers like in, either in New York or here, where they were just horrid human beings, even though they were great. They just weren't good people. And when you go to Music Mind Tracks, to that studio, and you sit around, and there's like Santos Palazzi, who's one of the other writers there, and there's, I forget their assistant's name, the guy who's like kind of the dude who does everything for them. Just everyone's a real family there. Like you walk in, you know, it literally there, you walk into their studio, it's a kitchen.
It's awesome.
Where are the best conversations had with any family? In the kitchen. Absolutely. Over food, over a drink, over coffee, over all that stuff. And you really get that vibe from those guys when you go into their studio in Pasadena. What's up?
How far are they from you? Oh, really?
No, they're like 20 minutes away.
Okay.
They're in Pasadena, and you know, home of Van Halen. Home of Van Halen.
Yo. Okay, keep going. I just was gonna say, I know we keep tapping into Van Halen a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
The way they fucking played all over the place, parties, and then adapted their music to cha-cha, to like
country
music, to country. Like they I never knew that. I never knew that until last week. I was listening to Joe Rogan with David Lee Roth. He's like, you'll hear different elements of music because we played neighborhoods.
Like
that's how they did it.
This pertains to like composing.
Yeah.
If you listen to like what Van Halen did, the unique thing about the Van Halen brothers, and let's just take it off Eddie's shoulders totally,
right,
is I think their father's name was Ian or Jan Van Halen. I think is what his Jan Van Halen was his name. And you know, he was a classically trained clarinet jazz, you know, player, and you can hear him on the Diver Down record. He plays the clarinet on Big Bad Bill of Sweet William.
Nice.
Which I think is like an old jazz standard cover.
Right. They had covers. Yeah, they did covers.
They did a lot of covers, but I think Diver Down especially is basically predominantly a covers record because you have Where All the Good Times Gone. You have Pretty Woman on that. No, what is Pretty Woman on that? Yes, Pretty Woman's on that record. And, you know, a bunch of other things. But my point being is that they, from a very young age, played a lot of different styles of music.
Yep. Which
in turn gave them this really rich stew of what they could pull from.
Melting pot.
Yeah, melting pot of what they could pull from. So, I mean, composing is no different. You know, like Elik said, you know, you have people who are rock guys. Don't try to do indigenous music. Right. Do what's comfortable for you. Like play to your strengths.
And then they team up with people that are doing awesome in one genre. But this whole thing we talk about all the time, which we don't talk about like right now on the show really, is like distribution. Like if we know one guy that's doing an awesome job in hip hop and he's not doing anything with your music, bring him on. Like tell him about his catalog. Tell him he needs to send his catalog to people like this. And that's what we're going to start doing, is connecting those dots on, you know, Mike has his own catalog. I have my own catalog. And then we have people that we know that are awesome artists that
have been on the show who need to have their stuff shopped.
Correct.
So we're going to talk to people like Juan and
you know, and that
and stuff like that.
That was a really cool intro because it's different from, excuse me for not remembering the name, Eric and
Deniston, Eric and Igloo.
No. The sound guys who did the Ninja Turtles. No, not Ninja Turtles.
Joel.
Nope, the other boys, the team boys that I think it was our third episode or something. Why can't?
Oh, you're talking about Rob and DJ. Hey, which by the way, did you see what came out yesterday on that?
Oh, what, with Universal?
No. With Animaniacs, they finally released the trailer.
Oh no, I did not.
Yeah, so that sounds awesome. I listened to it last night. By the way, shout out to Rob and DJ.
Rob and DJ. There you go.
Rob and DJ.
They do mixing and engineering, right? More.
Yeah, they do. That's all they do. They do mixing, sound design, that kind of thing. So once you get the music from, say, Elik and Juan, it goes over to Rob and DJ, and they mix it into the pit.
So there's the ecosystem that I'm talking about, just to kind of put into
I can tell you how it goes. Yeah, so especially with animated series, what happens is everything is cut, and edited into the episode or picture or whatever.
Right.
Then what happens is with the basic voiceover stuff is only thing that comes with audio, and maybe there's some suggestion music that's underneath. That will go, the form of that pick will go to the composer, and the composer will get what they call like the redlined version of it. So what happens is you get a picture and they put a redlined version in the edit, where when you come up on the pick, it goes over the screen.
Gotcha.
You see a red bar essentially.
Gotcha.
It says this is where music should start. Gotcha. This is where I want music to start.
Right.
And that's how they kind of do it. And that's how they kind of do it. Because there's not music constantly through every picture. Now what happens after that, they get the mix, they get the music, and sometimes during that time, they conform and they redo the edit of the pick, and then they send the final rough cut, like what we do with the show. Like I send you a rough cut before I send the lock cut with the music and everything else to it.
Right.
The same exact thing.
Gotcha.
So, that's the process. And then they'll get the music and the picture all together, and then it's mixed on a sound stage. So it's ready for 5.1 or 7.1 or 10.1, however many fucking speakers you have in your house, to listen to. And it's a quick process. What people don't realize about post-production is they think it's like making a record. It's hours, if not minutes, shit gets done.
Right. Gotcha.
Gets finished. Guys who are producers of television shows, and I've worked with a lot of them, from Nickelodeon to Disney to, film producers, they're to screw around. Time is money to them, and they're under major deadlines every time. And if it doesn't make the deadline, it doesn't go out.
Right.
And people lose their jobs. So post-production is very stressful in that element.
Gotcha. So you got to be on top of your shit.
Oh, all the time. And that's what they're, I think Juan and Elik kind of were nice about it. They're like, yeah, maybe we have a few days, maybe we don't. Like when my buddy was working on Courage of the Cowardly Dog, it was hours and minutes. They didn't even have time. Like I said, they would get the cut at 5 p.m, and it would go out at 5 the next morning.
Get that shit done. Damn.
Composed, cut, mixed, out.
But it brings it back to what they were saying. It's like there's guys that get the opportunity to do this, right? Or their composition, whether it be that or sound, and they just sit and don't do anything. And then there's the people that just take the initiative to want to get into it, that have, and like pass the coffee thing, dude. Like he was saying, like we have people that don't even work their way up. We give them the opportunity, and a lot of them don't do anything when they get handed the opportunity.
Well, I think the thing is too, is like, we're in a society of very entitled people.
That is true.
More so than ever, I think, in history within the past 10 to 12 years.
Right.
And, with that said, when I started this, what year are we in? 2020?
Yeah.
I started in 1993. You're looking at almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Right. You had people who were there to play the game for real.
Yeah.
We're willing to work for free. We're willing to do what it took to get there.
Right.
And you would get yelled at, and you would get your feelings hurt. And this whole generation of kids now that are coming probably into the industry are like, oh, he said something mean to me, I'm going to sue him. Like, get the fuck out of here with that. When I hear that shit, I'm like, you need to get your fucking head checked.
Yeah. Well,
because I worked in a studio for 2 years where I got abused every fucking day.
It doesn't mean you deserve to get abused. It's just
no, I don't. Let me preface that. That's my experience personally.
But you're right.
But the thing is that you can't. You have to, like Juan said, make your own luck. Know what it takes to get there, and suck it up.
Yep.
In a major way, just suck it up.
Yep. And I couldn't agree more. So let's leave it here because we have a couple meetings.
Yes, we do. And yes, thank you to the Combine Nation. Today was the first day we actually did the live stream, which I shall stop now. And we're going to start doing it more and more. Greg, we'll figure out a way to get everybody that information. And we're going to start doing it for every episode on YouTube Live. Thanks to Juan and Elik at Mind Tracks Music, because you know what, it's One Mind Music, I think is what Joel's company is, so I get too confused.
Yeah, right.
But the thing is that we really enjoy having these opportunities to give to you guys, and really diverse ones. I think there's a lot of music podcasts out there. I've been listening to a lot of them lately where they just stick into one lane. And I think it's great that we kind of give you guys kind of a potpourri of stuff.
Well, we're lucky to have the network available that you have known for this.
Well,
long.
I've cultivated many.
That you've cultivated. So yeah, I'll see you next time, and let's get ready for the meeting. Huh?
Yep, 10-4, good buddy. Hold on.